Dubs in DC. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and we're back at it with our latest New York Mets post-game show here, presented by our amazing sponsors at SeatGeek that have you covered for all of your ticketing needs. Make sure you utilize our promo code Wardy10. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. Link down below. And Mumu, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. But more on them later, folks. Spam those W's in the live show right here, right now. And I want to see at least 3 W's spam in a row, because the Mets have now won not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive ball games, folks. I'm happy to say, finally, for what feels like for the first time in forever, literally the first time since the Mets swept the San Francisco Giants in San Fran, they have won 3 consecutive ball games. In tonight's show, we're going to break down everything that was masterful about this huge blowout 8-1 win against the bottom feeder Washington Nationals, exactly the kind of team that the Mets are supposed to beat up on. The Mets have now won 6 of 8 said matchups against the Nats this season, and they look for more in the series victory tomorrow there that we're all excited to get ready for. But before we get there, everybody, let's talk about the standouts tonight. We're going to break down this ball game, innings 1 through 9, everything that you need to know in this one. But on the day that Francisco Alvarez not only is placed on the injury list, but folks, his season may be over if he does in fact not get his inflammation down over the next 2 weeks. We're gonna wait to find out as he's reevaluated, but we know that he has a UCL sprain, and that is not good there for what's going on in his right thumb area. Hate to see it, not happy about it. But on the same day that we see our guy Francisco Alvarez go down with injury, a man who's been carrying the weight big time on the offensive front, what do we see? Mark Vientos, Swaggy V, and what did I tell you guys in our coverage earlier today in our pre-recorded videos on the Alvarez news? I said that the Mets need to dig deep, and they need to not only have the Fab Four going, and Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo, and Soto, but they need the youngsters to find consistency, especially a Mark Vientos, after he hit a towering bomb opposite field in their last game in that series victory in Williamsport against the Seattle Mariners there in the Little League Classic. We need more Marky V at DH. Carlos Mendoza listened, and it paid off in dividends. We're going to not only break down the great game that we saw from Mark Vientos, Jeff McHits, more like Jeff McDoubles, more like Jeff McBombs. Jeff McNeil was all over the place today and did everything and then some that you could hope for as a Mets fan. But folks, as great as the offense was in this one, nothing was greater than what we saw on the pitching end from the Mets today, and this is how the Mets are going to find more continued winning ways, everybody. Say it with me. Thank you, David Peterson. My man goes 8 strong innings, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts, the best, most dominant start by a starter for the Mets this season. The one man who has been single-handedly carrying the weight with this rotation when it comes to length. Peterson did not go deep in his last outing. We were all shell-shocked by it. We said if Peterson can't go deep, we're going to have ourselves a massive problem. But David chose the rubber there in DC tonight, and he casually goes out and dominates this lesser Nationals lineup the way that he did big time, allowing just 4 hits, only 1 walk to the 10 strikeouts. Man, does that get me hyped up. How does that not get you hyped up as a Mets fan? So I want to see the love and the hype going for David Peterson, rightfully so, here in today's live show, everybody. We're going to break down on a scale 1 to 10 what Wardy here is going to grade David Peterson's final line today. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a great grade, but I will get back to that later on, everybody, once we're breaking down more about his big day. And on the offensive end, this is how the ball game ended, everybody. Luis Torrens gained the start, something you guys are going to be more familiar with going forward, with Alvarez now out for at least the next 10 to 14 days at minimum, mind you. Torrenso had himself a hit, looked productive, was great with his game calling, obviously, for David Peterson today. I can't get over in this offense, it's not just Mark Vientos, who obviously was brilliant in DH today. It's not just Jeff McHits, who I absolutely love, guys, and it wasn't just Juan Soto, who casually hit his now 31st home run of the year there, and raking in his old stomping grounds there in DC, guys. A big standout on the offensive end that deserves credit today is Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo broke the ice in this one. He got the offense started, and the Mets never looked back once they found themselves with that early lead. So we have a lot of breakdown on the offensive end in this one. I'm really looking forward to that, as I always am, everybody. But like I said, folks, make sure to smash that like and subscribe on your way in. Spam those W's on your way in, as well, as we're going to break down everything that transpired here in Metsland, as the Mets have now won 3 consecutive ball games. We have some really fun stats to throw at you guys, but I will just say this right away. Who was the Mets' third base coach today? It was not Mike Sarba. It was Eric Chavez. And you guys know how I feel about Eric Chavez, so that was interesting to say the least. It worked. He didn't send anyone home from first base, so that's certainly a plus. But all jokes aside, Eric Chavez was the Mets' third base coach today, because Mike Sarba, I believe, was dealing with an illness, something along those lines. I didn't even mention Brett Beatty yet. That's the best part about it as well, Mike. There were so so many home run heroics going on that I'm pulling an Oprah Winfrey saying, you get a homer, you get a homer, you get a homer, and you get a homer. Brett the Hitman, more like Brett Bondsbeatty, had himself a great game, not only with the bat today, Brett, as he was another guy that got the offense going early for this Mets team and late as well, but his defense was superb by Beatty, and that's what we need to see more of. If Beatty's going to be in this lineup consistently, if Vientos is going to be at DH consistently, we need a guy like Brett to step up there at the hot corner. If Mauricio isn't going to do it because he's getting lackadaisical playing time and consistent playing time, rather, we need someone to step up and fill in those shoes. And again, on the same day that Francisco Alvarez goes on the shelf with injury, we all know he's obviously going to be getting, unfortunately, surgery. It's just a matter of, can he play through some pain or not? Will he be productive at all or not? Regardless of what's happening with Alvarez, we needed some of the other baby Mets in this youth movement to step up today, and they did exactly that. So again, beggars can't be choosers, everybody. We got to take these big dubs for what they are, regardless as to who they're against. This is the same Mets team that not even a week ago lost 14 of their last 16 games. This is a Mets team that going back 2 months ago had a stretch of losing 15 of 18 games. We have seen this team at its absolute worst this season, and we've also seen them at their best. Now facing their latest force of adversity, how can they come together as a group and build an identity? Because if they can't build an identity, they're going nowhere this season. That's why I said they have to dig deep, especially now more than ever with Alvarez's injury. And folks, we're one game in it, but it appears they did exactly that. You could not have asked for a greater example of a first game there with Alvarez on the shelf, the way the Mets just presented there in DC against these sorry Nats. Patrick with the $5 thank you so much for that, my friend. Team, dare I say, is turning a corner, pitching finally being semi-effective, and offense continues to rake. Peterson, 10 out of 10. We're going to talk about the Peterson grades. Thank you so much for that, my guy. I really do appreciate that. And like I said earlier in the chat, guys, and I'll say it once more, I want you to start to marinate in your head, get an idea going as to what you would grade David Peterson's final line today on a scale of 1 to 10. But don't tell me yet until we're done breaking down Peterson's gorgeous outing that we're going to highlight plenty in this one, everybody. Shout out to everyone for chopping in, guys. You know the drill by now. After every big victory throughout the course of the 162, we got to let it rip, as we always do, with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM 3-game heater post-game jingle, baby. Let's do this. Let's go.
Postgame. Postgame. Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talk about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame.
Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Love it or hate it, it is here to stay. That's Wardy's little corny dance I love to do after every big victory. No, I'm never going to be in sync with the music. That's what makes it 10 times sweeter. If you know, you know. So thank you guys so much for hitting that like and subscribe on your way. And we cover the Mets after every big victory and loss throughout the course of the 162 playoffs. You name it, everything in between the Mets lane we cover to a T. The largest Mets platform on YouTube, covering the Mets that is not the Mets themselves here, to roughly 35,000 subscribers. Help us get a 35K for our next short-term goal, everybody, because once we hit 35,000, we are giving away another jersey on the platform to one lucky subscriber. We do jersey giveaways after every new 1,000 subscriber milestone here on the platform, everybody, and I want to give back to you guys in the community, as I have been doing not only this year, but over the countless years since starting WardyNYM in December of 2020, when Trevor May was the first official signing under the Steve Cohen regime. Since then, May has been a friend of the platform. We've had him on. We had so many great experiences thanks to all you amazing Mets fans watching us live and our replay. Thank you guys kindly for that. One of the final things that we got to do before we break down this ball game is thank all you guys chiming in live right now. Let's do a roll call of all of our members and subscribers here. We got JoJo, great member. Andre's great member. How we doing? We got the Lord AI. How we doing, baby? Happy to have you in here. I love you, but next time try being on beat. I can't. That's what makes it sweet. All things Mets talk. Skip, how we doing? Truman, how we doing? Chris, how are you? Ari, how are you? Camp going up the list. Thank you so much for being in here. We got our guy Chris again. We got Gino. We got Dino Caps, great member, baby. We got Andres, great member. We got Mike Nixon, great member, moderator. We got Truman saying the Wardy Muppet dance. You know. We got Mac in the chat here with the great membership as always. We got DG Ranger Scott. How we doing? We're going up the list here. We got Jesse. We got Michael. We got let's see, White Mike, great member. We got Alvin, great member in here. We got Chris again. We got another Chris. We got a lot of Chris's. We got Jesse. We got Sean MD. We got Juliet, great member. member as always. Thank you so much for being in here. We got Chris in the chat as well. Chris Norden, that is. Mike O'Brien, Patrick going up here even more. We got Gina, how are you? We got all you guys chiming in live on a replay. Robert, how you doing, Mr. Harrison? All you guys, thank you so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. And again, guys, hit that like and subscribe on your way. And don't hold back from telling me how you're feeling. Juliet, thank you so much for gifting a membership to Mr. Paul in the chat. I really do appreciate that. I know Paul probably does as well. If you guys would like to become channel members where you get emojis that you guys can utilize, which I think you guys tend to forget a bit. B6, great member of the chat, isn't forgetting. Don't forget the emojis that you guys have. We have Mark Vientos emojis in the chat. We have Juan Soto emojis in chat. We have Francisco Lindor emojis in chat. We have Alvarez emojis in the chat. We got everybody and your mother emojis in the chat. Make sure to utilize your emojis to our members and everyone else. If you want to become a member, we have it linked down below in the description for you to check out the membership tier options. We do every single month a members only live Q&A segment for an hour, if not 2 hours. We also do call-in segments as well, and you guys get shout outs and interact with me every single time that we do live content like this on a daily basis. So again, guys, thank you kindly for doing exactly that. Rocket Man, great member as always in here. Vinny, great member. Jersey, great member. How we doing? All you guys. We got Scott in the chat as well. We got Vala. Let's go Mets array from Mexico. That's awesome, my guy. We got Mickey in here. All you guys, thank you so much. How we feeling? What is the temperature check when we talk about the vibes right now? Because listen, I think it's twofold, right? On one hand, you say to yourself, Francisco Alvarez's injury is absolutely deflating. How can it not be deflating, right? Because Alvarez has been batting 300 with 1,000 OPS since returning from his latest minor league stint over a month ago. So of course you're disheartened when not only you hear that Francisco Alvarez is injured with a thumb injury yet again, but you find out that he will need surgery, just a matter on if it will happen before the season ends or after the season ends, depending on his ability to handle said pain and the inflammation goes down, everything in between. But then you also say to yourself, listen, the injury happened. It is what it is. The Mets can't go backsies about it. They can't do anything about it. What the Mets can do is control their destiny now and going forward. How are they going to respond to this latest force of adversity? How are they going to respond now with their key young catcher now on the shelf yet again? Well, they have to respond in a similar fashion to how they did to begin this season, because let's not forget this, everybody. While Alvarez has been playing great baseball, two things can be true at the same time. Alvarez has been playing great, but the Mets have actually had more success without Alvarez playing good baseball this year than when he has. As crazy as it is to sound, listen, the first month and a half when Alvarez was out with injury, the Mets are playing really good baseball. So listen, I'm not saying that's something that's sustainable, but maybe, just maybe, there is a way for the Mets here to find their way to continue to churn out success the way that they have in the past while Alvy has been down with injury. If there's any solace to this, if there's any positivity to take away from that injury, it's the fact that we saw the boys rally for such a well-rounded, balanced victory today, one. But two, we also know that the Mets are not, foreign to handling an Alvarez injury. This is the third injury of significance to Alvarez over the past calendar year and a half. So if they can't combat those injury woes now, when are they ever going to, right? So that's how I'm kind of looking at this glass half full. I understand who the Mets opponent was. I understand that there's still a lot more work to be done with this ball club. All those things can be true while appreciating in the interim how nice of a victory tonight was for this Metropolitan team. Steve, great member as always. Happy to have you in here, my guy. Thank you so much for chiming in, everybody. Guys, we're going to talk about our amazing sponsors at Mumu, the official trading platform of the New York Mets, a little bit later on the show, guys, but I do just want to emphasize this one thing regarding Mumu, guys. We're going to have an official promo out for you in the coming days, but folks, you are going to have an opportunity to hang out with yours truly at Citi Field Monday, August 25th, Mets versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Be on the lookout for further details. We will have the promo out, like I said, in the coming days. We will have the promo also pumped out for a couple days prior to Monday of next week. You will have an opportunity to hang out with your guy Wardy there and our fantastic Mumu suite there, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. If you guys want to find out more details on that, make sure you're chimed into the show here. Very excited for that news. This is something that we've been trying to chef up for a while now. Mumu Mondays happen on every Monday of a home game at Citi Field, and this Mumu Monday, August 25th, you're going to get a true chance to hang out with your guy Wardy for an awesome watch party where we hang out together there at Citi Field to watch the Mets versus the Phillies, and what's going to be nothing short of a heated battle there for the race for the NL East. So hope to see you guys there. More details to come in the coming days. Be on the lookout for that, guys. But we got Blybeer in the chat with the $2 holla. Thank you so much for that, my guy. He said, went to the Mets game on Friday. Let's see. Awesome, my guy. Very happy to hear that. LGM, thank you so much for the donation. Blybeard's been a long time follower here. a great supporter. We really do appreciate him as always. All right, guys, let's get into this one and let's break down here the latest in Mets land. August 25th is your birthday, Juliet. Oh, well, happy early birthday. Very happy to hear that, as a matter of fact. Well, definitely remind me, Juliet, on the day of your birthday on the 25th while I'm doing a live show at Citi Field, because I would love nothing more than to further shout you out on your actual birthday then, along with what we're currently doing right now. But all right, guys, enough of me rambling more than I typically do. Let's break down what was such a gorgeous ball game for this Mets team. And what I love so much about this victory in summary is the fact that not only did you have the Mets clutching up big time with their hitting, another very productive day for the Mets when it came to runners in scoring position, which we're going to take every single day of the week. Listen, the Mets have been batting really solid in that regard over the past week now. If they can continue this, they may have something special brewing, right? The Mets were 3 for 9, which you're going to take every single day of the week. You're batting over 300 with runners in scoring position. You left 7 on base, but you had key production, multiple home run hitters in this one. And the Mets out-hit the Nationals 11-5 as well. And you had David Peterson casually throwing his best start of the season. We're going to take that to the bank every single day of the week. And of course here on Tuesday. So now, guys, let's get into breaking down what was a huge victory for the Mets, as they are now 67-58 on the season to the Nationals 50-75, which now makes the Mets currently a 1.5 game still up on the Cincinnati Reds for that final wild card spot, and still at least 5 to 5.5 games out along those lines from the Philadelphia Phillies, a first there for the NL East. But as we see here to begin this ball game, everybody, Francisco Lindor would ground out, Juan Soto would strike out, but Brandon Nimmo, more like Brandon Nimmo, gets the party started there that we would see with a 2-out single. Then Alonso would fly out, but that is, of course, not a terrible start to the Mets. At least he got one base runner on. That way Irvin wasn't going to be getting in a groove right away. In the bottom of the first, we would see David Peterson, however, get right into a groove. There was no hesitation with Peterson when it came to looking like the absolute dog that he was today on the mound. He gets called strike 3 on James Wood. He gets a ground out in Abrams, and then he strikes out Mr. Strikeout himself, who used to be a Mets killer, but now he's just a borderline MLB player, and that is Mr. Paul DeJong. As we head to the second inning, everybody, Jeff Mc hits, more like Jeff Mc walks. McNeil would have walked to lead off the inning. Mark Vientos unfortunately grounds into a double play. Beatty would then get on with a walk, but that would do it for the inning. Nothing else happens. Terens grounds out. So you go from a walk, ground out, walk, ground out. That does it for the second. In the bottom of the second, Brett Beatty makes a gorgeous play there at third base to get the ground out on Josh Bell with the nice bare hand and the chuck as well. Really loved what I saw with Beatty and his defensive range there. That's what we need to see more of, Brett. Listen, Brett, if you're not going to be anything more than at best a league average bat, then we need to make sure that you're being proficient on the defensive end. We can't have you having costly errors the way that you had to a degree the past month and a half. But this was a really good step in the right direction for Brett, not only on the offensive front, defensive front, and you have to hope that this further instills confidence in him to go out and continue to be that loose, fun, confident player we know Beatty can be, that we have seen obviously in stretches. Riley Adams grounds out and Dylan Cruz grounds out, so the Mets continue this ball game on the top of the third with Cedric Mullins, who was actually batting 9 today. We saw Carlos Mendoza go with the line today of having Mark Vientos back at DH. We saw McNeil there batting right behind Alonso again, and then we saw Mullins at the 9 spot, which I honestly didn't hate. I know Mullins hasn't done a lot for the Mets so far, but I love the depth of the lineup the Mets have, even without Alvarez. I was so much better with Alvarez when he was playing well, don't get me wrong. Terens is on paper the worst batter in this Mets lineup right now, but it's nice to see a guy like Mullins, who would otherwise maybe be anywhere in your 4 through 6 range in other teams' lineups, as the Mets' number 9 hitter. So I will take that as somewhat of a positive, especially if Mullins can thrive lower in the order for this Mets team down the stretch of the season. But after he lines out, Lindor would get on with a 1-out double. That would be Lindor's 26th double of the season, everybody, putting himself in scoring position for Juan Soto. And Juan doesn't get on there with a hit, but he does get on with a walk. So you got 2 on, less than 2 out for Brandon Nimmo. All Brandon needs to do is slap a baseball opposite field, which is why I typically prefer for Brandon. I love Brandon going opposite field. He does it so well. Same way when Conforto was hitting for opposite field well as a lefty hitting outfielder for the Mets team. I just love everything about that kind of player. And Nimmo does exactly that. He goes center opposite field and he drives in the first run of the ball game. He makes it 1-0 Metsies, and that would be great thanks to some nice situational hitting with runners in scoring position. After Nimmo would get on there with the RBI single to make it 1-zip, Pete Alonso would pop out later, sets the stage for Jeff McNeil trying to get on base yet again, and McNeil does exactly that, more like McDoubles, as Jeff there rips his 15th double of the season, everybody, and that makes it 3-0 Mets. Fantastic contact and gap-to-gap hitting by Jeff, guys. And listen, as someone who has talked so down on McNeil's game over the past year and a half, which is kind of crazy considering the fact that I've had a better relationship with the McNeils to an extent than I have with other players. You know, I've been in attendance for Jeff McNeil's charity events in the past. I've had a great time. I met him, met his family, everyone good. I have no ill will, no qualms against the guy personally whatsoever. But unfortunately, from that point on, especially in the second half of 2023 and what felt like all 2024, was that Jeff just wasn't that guy for this Mets team. Whether it was because of injuries, frustrations, inconsistencies, he just was not the guy that we needed him to be. But now that we're seeing Jeff McNeil do something so different, and this is something he's done for the past calendar year now, and that's changed his approach. He's done being that slap hitting, contact hitting, trying to be that batting champ type mentality. He knows it's not going to work in today's game. And as the old saying goes, adapt or die. And McNeil, folks, is not choosing the latter and dying. He's going to go ahead and take the adaptation, which is now his hitting philosophy. Less contact hitting, less just try to get the end of the barrel for the sake of poking one, especially because there's limited shifts now. You really can't take advantage of hitting them where they ain't, so to speak, as it used to back in the late 2010s, early 2020s, etc. Jeff now going more gap to gap, home run hitting there. I'm loving everything about McNeil's game. He looks so comfortable out there, but most importantly, I'm actually starting to gain that confidence in Jeff again, that this is a guy that can really be utilized in various situations for the Mets, and you know that he's destined to get on base hopefully at least 2 times a night. Like, that's really all you can ask for a guy like Jeff, who I really think fell from his graces big time over the past year and a half up until what he has now done so greatly this season, returning from injury. Major shout at Jeff McNeil as he gave the Mets in that moment at least a 3-0 lead. And then, folks, who continues to get this party started and let's get it going, rather, that is Swaggy V and Mark Vientos. Because not only did Mark Vientos blast his now 9th home run this season to give the Mets an early 5-0 lead on Jake Irvin and this Washington Nationals club, but the most impressive thing about this Mark Vientos home run is that it was his hardest hit home run of the season, everybody. 106 miles per hour off the bat. That is a big boy home run. That is, again, the best home run that he has done when it comes to actually, you know, a pulled fly ball, especially this year. So, Mark Vientos, we need to see more of that. Pulling your fly balls. We love to see you going opposite field the way that you did in Williamsport as well. But we know that for you to have your best game, we need to see you go all over the place. And we need to see you be that true power hitter, pulling from your left side the way that he most certainly was. Or right side, I should be saying, rather. Even though when he's swinging, he's pulling left. You guys get what I'm trying to say? Either way, Mark Vientos, really loving to see that swing start to break out now. And again, it could not come at a more important time. This is exactly what I emphasized to a T in our content earlier today, everybody. Like, I cannot emphasize enough to you how vital it is that the Mets get production out of Vientos with Alvarez being out. Because the one thing that we've written off basically all year was Vientos' 2024 season. Buddy had 27 home runs, was a huge playoff performer. Yes, he was defensive liability, but if you just keep the bat in there the way that you're supposed to at DH, where you have not defensively sound batters, but big home run hitters, big sluggers in that spot, I like Marte just as much as the next guy. I love a guy who can bat 280 in their sleep. What I don't love is a guy that's so sporadic in his home run and obviously gap-to-gap ability. Vientos, when right, is the better home run and overall slugger between the two type batter. So that is why I want to see Mark continue to get more consistent reps in DH. And I really hope that continues to be the case. If Vientos is not starting every single game in the series at DH, I'm going to be disappointed. If Vientos starts 2 out of the 3 games at DH and make sure that he's at least in the lineup 2 out of the 3 days, I'll be okay with it. I do not want to see this continued notion that we've seen sporadically by Mendoza this year, where you have Vientos at third base for a game and then you don't play him again there for 4 or 5 days. Like, what is the point in doing that? It just doesn't make sense, because you're not helping him as defensive development at all, nor are you helping his confidence when it comes to actually trying to be a consistent bat as well, depending on, okay, if you maybe have him not in the hot corner, does that mean you're not even going to consider him at DH for a number of days? It just doesn't make sense, and that's one of the many things that I've had an issue with Carlos Mendoza, David Stearns, everyone that collectively comes together to make these Mets lineups on a daily basis. But Mark Vientos, love to see that more, to say the least. Can you please happy birthday to my friend Mike? I'm gonna accept the donation, but I'm also gonna respectfully tell you to go after yourself. Donate something like that again, my friend, and you're never gonna be seen on the platform. It's really simple. Like, you really think you're gonna catch me in the big 2025 to say something that's stupid? I mean your name checks out, so it does make sense. I'm going to take your money, no doubt. but I'm not even going to entertain that. Miss me with that nonsense. Do it again and see what happens. Seriously. Just because you donate doesn't mean you get away with shit, you schmuck. So as we continue on from here, everybody, the Mets obviously won this one by a big whopping score of 8-1. And in this 8-1 victory for the Mets here, everybody, we saw there in the top of the bottom of the third, a nice 1-2-3 yet again there by David Peterson. Peterson was in the groove big time in this one. We saw him get the single there, Andres Chaparro, but that's all she wrote. Then he gets himself a double play ball on Brady House. And then Jacob Young there with the line out, that does it there for the inning. The top of the fourth, thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. We would see in the top of the fourth, Cedric Mullins would get on with his only hit of the ball game. Mullins there with a 1-out single, everybody, and then that is it. Francisco Lindor called out strikes. We unfortunately saw, but Mullins in the same time of that happening stole his 17th bag of the year, everybody. And when Mullins stole his 17th bag of the year, that's notable because he actually has stolen bags at a pretty decent clip, if you ask me. Pretty decent, to say the least. So thank you so much to Francisco Lindor. Even though he didn't provide anything here, it was Cedric Mullins is who I'm really thanking for getting on with that stolen bag. Juan Soto, though, lined out everybody, and that does it there for the inning. In the bottom of the fourth, we would see James Wood call down strike. CJ Abrams grounds out, and Paul DeYoung would strike out. Another gorgeous 1-2-3 inning there that we would see for the Nationals. In the top of the fifth, David Peterson, man, oh man, is he looking good. Brennan Nimmo would ground out. Alonso would ground out, but Chev McNeil, again, he can't help himself for being McHits today, everybody. He just wants to be involved as much as possible. We would see McNeil there with a 2-out single. Unfortunately, nothing else happened there in the inning, but you love to see it at the same time. Jeff had such a good day at the plate. In the bottom of the fifth, more brilliant work there by David Peterson. A 1-2-3 on Bell, Adams, and Cruz. He struck out there, Riley Adams swinging for another nice 1-2-3. In the top of the sixth, everybody, who leads off the inning? It's more like Brett Bonds Beatty. That soon. Bobby G, happy to have you in the chat, my guy. Thank you so much for being in here. I do appreciate that. Max, that would be pretty cool, but they won't do it because I'm more competition to them in that regard than I would be partnered in that way because they already have their own post-game show that they do nightly. They probably don't like the fact that I do my nightly as well, as one overlaps with the other. Regardless, though, we see here, everybody, Brett Beatty rips his 14th home run of the year there to lead off the inning. Absolutely smoked there by Beatty. This was a no-doubter of a home run either. This was a big boy home run. This is a home run in every ballpark in baseball. 428 feet, roughly 110 off the bat, just destroyed off of Jake Irvin. That's what happens when you throw him a little 90-mile-per-hour meatball inside, and Brett just turns on that bad boy like no tomorrow. With that home run, not only is that Beatty's 14th home run of the year, but that also increases the Mets' lead 6-0 at that point. We got our guy with a $5 haul. Thank you so much, my man. He says, yet to see Juan Soto hit a grand slam like Mets legend Colin Cowgill. Mets need to show him his highlights. I 100% agree. And we're all dying and waiting for not only Juan Soto to hit a grand slammy, but Soto hasn't even hit a 3-run home run yet this year, mind you. Not even a 3-run home run yet. So we're still patiently waiting for all those things to happen. And listen, I'm more than happy those things happen later. It's better to happen later than to happen never. And if it doesn't happen until potentially postseason play, I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. At all. So again, as we continue on from everybody, the Mets get themselves a 6-0 lead. And the bottom of the sixth, everybody, we would see Andres with his second double of the year to lead off the inning there, but that's all she wrote. It's a called strike 3 there on Brady House, and after a Jacob Young single, it's another huge strikeout, this time on James Wood, one of the best young phenoms of a bat there, and all batters in the National League. And then a flat on C.J. Abrams. Wood and C.J. Abrams, what do they have in common? Those were some of the key pieces, along with obviously Robert Hassel III and Mackenzie Gore as that massive trade package for Juan Soto all those years ago between the Nationals and the San Diego Padres. Thank you so much for the donation as well. We got Narvaez in here with a $2 holla. Terrence throws out runners. I'm not worried. He does throw out runners. This is true. The offense, I would like to see some semblance of life there, but I'm more than fine with it as long as Terrence can handle his own with his game call and his defense. That's the main thing. He needs that minimum be okay there, and then we can kind of move on from there. So as we get to the seventh inning, everybody, after Jake Irvin exits the ball game, it's time for Juan Soto to shine, everybody. Juan Soto with his 31st home run of the year that we would see there to make it 7-0 Mets, and just one of the abundance of home runs that he has found himself hitting there in Nationals Park in D.C. A lot Love to see it, especially his old stomping grounds. Juan Soto gained all that one. Nice little cherry on top of what was already going to be a dominant victory for the Mets here, as he would make it 7-0 at this point in the ballgame, everybody. And in case you're wondering what kind of home run this was for Juan, this was another no-doubter, 408 feet, 107 off the bat. And you would think, okay, surely this is a pulled baseball. No, it's not. This is Oppo Taco No tomorrow. What I love so much, like many of you guys, in the case of Juan Soto, is his effortless power to go opposite field. You know, I was just raving earlier about Michael Conforto and Brandon Nimmo when they're slapping the ball opposite field the way that they do when they're at their best, or at least when Conforto used to back in his days with the Mets in his heyday. Well, Soto does that just times 10. Like, Soto, what would normally be, you know, a routine fly out for Conforto or Nimmo, is an easy home run for Soto. His power is through the roof. His precision and his poise at the plate, how locked in he is, knowing that he's more locked in and has a greater eye at the plate than even the umpires themselves, just tells you all you need to know about the guy. And the home run as well, how did he hit this off of the lefty, a lefty-lefty matchup? This was just touching. We saw outside corner there, 94 miles per hour, 14 fastball, 2 flat, sayonara. It's out here. And that made it at the time there. Like I said, a 7-0 Metropolitan lead in the 7th. And after a Brandon Nimmo walk, we would see Alonso strike out. McNeil would fly out, but Mark Vientos would then get on with a walk himself. So you get 2 on there with a walk, 2 out for Brett Beatty. And Brett Beatty, unfortunately, would ground out everybody, but not before the Mets would find themselves now up by 7. And the bottom of the 7th, the final, another huge 1-2-3 inning of work there from David Peterson, as he gets a called strike through in Paul DeJong. He gets a flat on Josh Bell, and then that strikeout, swinging, mind you, on Riley Adams. As we get to the 8th inning, Luis Torrens, who we were just emphasizing a second ago, Torrens there rips his 11th double of the year there. Love to see that. Torrens, let's not forget, when he started the year with the Mets, the man was the hottest hitter along with Alonso for like the first couple weeks. And that's where we had this absurd discourse in the chat that I knew would die down fast, saying, oh, we got to cut Francisco Alvarez. Oh, Torrens needs to be our everyday catcher. As if you guys don't understand the context in small sample sizes. The reason why Torrens has looked good in flashes for the Mets is because of exactly that. It's been in flashes. The idea of a guy that's been predominantly a minor league player throughout his entire career to just naturally be now the stud catcher for the Mets all season long was never going to happen. I don't know why people thought that, but again, it's easy to drink the Kool-Aid when things are riding high early to begin the season the way it was for this Mets team. But Torrens, though, finally gave himself a gapper again. Torrens is also the most opposite field hitter out of any Mets hitter that they currently have right now in the lineup. He goes oppo more than anyone else, and that's exactly why this double was, as you guessed it, to opposite field to Mr. Dylan Cruz in right field. After a called strike 3 on Cedric Mullins, Lindor would unfortunately strike out as well, and Lindor would fly out, Soto would fly out, but not before the Mets still have that 7-0 lead. And the bottom of the 8th, everybody, here we go. It's the final inning of work today for David Peterson. He gives up a leadoff triple to Dylan Cruz. The funniest thing about Dylan Cruz hitting this triple to me, without double checking the stats at all, don't quote me on this, everybody, but wasn't Dylan Cruz's other triple this year against the Mets? And wasn't that triple in this park in DC back in June? Again, I'm not 100%, but Dylan Cruz hitting a triple does not feel like it was the first time against this Mets team. Either he did that towards the end of last season that I'm thinking of, or he did it earlier this year. I could be wrong, but I'll just be surprised if I am. Because you know when you kind of have that deja vu feeling with things, because you've seen it time and time again, the way that we feel when we watch so many things about baseball. This is how I felt with that exact triple. So that's what I'm going with. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm assuming right now. After that triple by Dylan Cruz, everybody, Andres Chaparro would get on there with a walk. So you have runners on the corners with no outs for Brady House. And all Brady House needs to do is, even if he grounds into a double play, it's going to allow the first run to score for the Nats today. And that's exactly what happens, because we would see Brady House ground into a double play, but that would allow a runner to score there, that being Cruz from third. And then we would see Jacob Young called out on strikes. Strike 3 is called. That does it for David Pearson's final line. Guys, let's appreciate the greatness together. What a dominant start for David Peterson today. Peterson goes how many innings? Oh my goodness gracious. He goes 8 innings of dominant ball. And I have so much to say about David Peterson this one, everybody. Ryan Stank, love what we saw from Ryan Stank as well. We're going to get to him in just a second, everybody. And I'm going to break down our grades here on David Peterson in just a moment. But before I break down the grades on David Peterson, before we break down this final inning of the ball game, everybody, and all the latest in Mets land, we have some fun stats to throw at you, answering your comments, questions, and concerns, all those great things. Let's hear a quick word from our amazing sponsor there at Mumu, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. Folks, Have you been seeing that big orange bowl that's making Mondays at Citi Field way more exciting? I'm talking about our amazing sponsor on the platform at Mumu. As the #1 Mets channel on YouTube, I absolutely love to break down stats, analysis, really getting into the nitty-gritty numbers, and that is why I love so much Mumu, because they do exactly that with that same analytical approach when it comes to investing. It's a trading platform with professional grade tools and premium research that other companies usually charge a pretty hefty price for, all come for free when you sign up as a customer with Mumu. But folks, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And thanks to Mumu's partnership with our beloved New York Metropolitans, all Mumu customers can get free tickets to any and every Mets home game on a Monday throughout the course of the season. That's right, folks. Free baseball all season long for the greatest fan base in sports. Not to mention Mumu Millions. If the Mets pull off 100 wins this season, one lucky Mumu customer is going to come out winning $1 million. And what's nuts about this is that Mumu has already given away $10,000 when the Mets hit first 25 wins this season, as well as $20,000 when they hit the 50-win mark. And when the Mets inevitably hit 75 wins, they're giving away $30,000. But as much as they love baseball, Mumu's #1 priority is jump-starting your investing journey, which is why they're giving the WardyNYM community up to $1,000 in NVIDIA stock just for making a qualified deposit and becoming a Mumu customer. So folks, what are you waiting for? Head to start.mumu.com/Wardy, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to join the Mumu community. Now, let's get back to our Mets. All right, guys, as we continue on, one final thing, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing an amazing promo there with Mumu for this upcoming Mets-Phillies matchup on August 25th, where it's going to be a watch party hangout with your guy Wardy at the actual ball game to select fans that get the opportunity to not only sign up to Mumu, but do the following steps for them that I again, are going to be relaying to you guys in a promo in the coming days later on this week. So make sure that you guys do not miss it. It's very important. We're going to have a less than a week of a turnaround for this one, so I want to make sure that many eyes get to it as possible. So again, be on the lookout. David Peterson, guys, what did he do today? Well, folks, his consecutive scoreless innings streak versus the Nationals comes to an end after 26 innings. However, it's tied for the 4th longest streak in Mets history. He now joins the great Tom Seaver against the Philadelphia Phillies there from 1969 to 1970 with 38 innings pitched of scoreless innings. We saw John Matlack versus Montreal, the Expos, back in 73 and 74 of 29.2 innings. And most recently, Jose Quintana. Remember how Jose Quintana was the Nationals' daddy during his time with the Mets? Well, he certainly was from 2023 to 2024 there with 27 innings pitched. So, guys, loved what I saw from David Peterson today. As we take a look at his arsenal here in just a second, everybody, I do just want to say this. This is going to be a good grade, and for great reason. As we hop back in here, we're going to break down the final inning, but again, the Mets obviously win this one by a final score of 8-1. I'll just break down the final inning right now, so that way I wasted no time. Jeff McNeil there, more like Jeff McHomers. Jeff ripped his 10th home run of the year there. That we saw in the 9th inning with 2 outs. He's like, I need a home run before we wrap up this ball game, okay? I've done everything else. I got a double, I got a single, I got a walk. Give me an effing homer. All he needed was a triple for the cycle tonight. Oh my God, Jeff, did you look good. Ryan Stank did give up a 2-out single to Paul DeJong, but that's all she wrote. Mets win this one by a final score of 8-1. And David Peterson, who again was right at the core of it all when it came to dominance today on the pitching end, this is what you had to offer. You had that sinker that was utilized 35% of the arsenal, topped out 94, sat right around 91. The changeup at 21% of the arsenal, topped out 87, and sat right around 84. The four-seam fastball at 16% of the arsenal, topped out 94, and sat right around 92. The curveball off 15% of the arsenal, topped out 81, sat right around 79. And the slider at 14% of the arsenal in this one, we saw topped out 86, sat 84. What I like a lot about Peterson's pitch usage today is that he was really balanced, like really balanced. You know, there's a lot of lines when you watch your starter have heavy usage of four-seam, sinker, whatever it's going to be. Maybe it's around 40, 45%. And then you have some other pitches in his back pocket, but he only threw 4 or 5 times among like 3 different pitches, right? So maybe that alone only collects 25% of his actual usage. I love the fact that we saw him, again, 14% of the time with the slider, 15% of the time with the curveball, 16% of the time with the four-seam fastball, where he actually threw them more than just a couple times. So for all those reasons and knowing how good David Peterson looked today, guys, yes, David Peterson gets undoubtedly an 8.75 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. The only reason why we're not going, actually, no, we're going 9 out of 10. Let's just go 9 out of 10. That's going to make it easier. I never do the 0.75s. I usually only do 0.5s the most. David Peterson's getting 9 out of 10. The Mets needed length desperately. We know that he has been our most reliable starter in that regard this season. And there's one man that we can bank on a nightly basis to provide this kind of length. It is going to be David Peterson. So, Peterson, thank you so much. Talking about a bounce back of an outing. Man, oh man, did you need this, especially when we saw him get absolutely shelled and just look horrendous in his previous outing or so, where he just was not giving length whatsoever in a time where you really needed it, especially. It was like, what can't go wrong for this Mets team? I'm going with a 9 out of 10 for David Peterson. I think he absolutely deserves it. And also, shout out to the Nationals. They just cut Nathaniel Lowe, and Nathaniel Lowe just blasted his first home run as a Boston Red Sox for them to help them, and he tied the ball game. Did he tie the ball game? And the ninth, oh my God, he did. He just tied the ball game against the Orioles in the ninth. Wow, good for Nathaniel Lowe. I never had an issue with Nathaniel Lowe. I was actually bummed with the Nationals first trade for him because I thought that was a solid pickup. He didn't play the best for them, but at the same time, they want to cut some salary knowing they weren't going anywhere this year. Cruz hit a triple against Stanek. Oh my God, Bane, I'm right. Thank you so much for that donation. Thank you so much for that. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm not happy to hear it, but at the same time, I'm happy to know that I was right. So I knew when I had that deja vu moment, I wasn't going crazy. I was like, I know for certain that man has only had a triple against the Mets, right? So Dylan Cruz has two triples in baseball this season are both against the Mets. One back on April 25th, and the other now present day, August 19th. There you go. Wardy's memory isn't all that terrible. So thank you so much for that donation. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What is your grade of David Peterson on the final line here of 1 to 10? I'm going, like I said, with a 9 out of 10. Dave, my guy, great member and great friend, as always, here in the chat, goes with a 9. Let's see what you guys got for me. Spam in the live chat right here, right now. To all of our replay viewers, let us know in the comments down below as well. How would you grade David Peterson's final line, and what was a fantastic day for him and for this Mets team, winning by a final score of 8-1, fitting that on the same day that we get 8 runs scored for this Mets team, we also get 8 innings pitched by David Peterson. I'm going to take that every single day of the week. Like, we need more of this. Please, 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 please. David Peterson looked damn good today. 10 punchies? Yeah, you got to get yourself in that 9 column. How can I not? I was also an ass for considering 8.75. I don't know what I was thinking. I get it. You still want to make wiggle room for the no-nos and the complete games, but you can. I can go 9.5, and then I can go to 10. So, again, Peterson, as good of an outing as you could ask for. The one run that scored was a fluke run. No one cares about that run. The Nationals don't even care about that run. No one's stat padding that. No one's doing nothing. David Peterson, what a dog you were. The fact that he didn't even walk everybody and their mother today and had himself 10 effing strikeouts. What was the last time David Peterson had a 10 strikeout game? I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember. This has to be his first 10 strikeout game of the season, or one of them. But I'm going here with, again, a firm 9 out of 10, everybody. So that was what happened on the pitching end. So now let's talk about the offense, because the Mets out-hit the Nationals today, like I said, 11-5, and had a whopping expected batting average today of 348 to a measly 171 there of the Nationals. When we take a look at the hardest hitters in the Mets lineup today, as we mentioned, Vientos had himself a bomb. His hardest hit pulled home run this year at 106 miles per hour. However, we did also see some guys smoke baseballs too outside of Vientos, and that consisted of Brett Baty having far and away the hardest hit ball today for his roughly 110 mile per hour home run, just under 430 feet off of Jake Irvin. Imagine throwing a meatball inside to Brett Bonds Beatty. Couldn't be me. Juan Soto with his home run. Mind you, this was opposite field, which makes it 10 times more impressive. The third hardest hit ball today in this ball game at 107 miles per hour. Luis Torrens with his double was smoked 107 miles per hour opposite field. Mark Vientos with his home run at 106. And then Soto with a flyout was at 104. McNeil with his double was at 104. And Lindor with his ground out was at right around 103. So again, love what I saw from the Mets today, and do not see a whole lot of Nationals when I'm breaking this down either. I'm seeing a whole flurry of Mets in this one as I'm looking at the numbers through Baseball Savant. If you guys don't utilize Baseball Savant, Fangraphs, Baseball Reference, highly implore you to utilize those websites, guys. They are tremendous on getting information. You can also utilize more advanced metrics there for pitcher breakdowns on X, like Pitch Profiler and TJ Stats. They both do a fantastic job in that regard as well. Would you re-sign Peterson? I would definitely, I think now is prime time to consider Peterson for an extension, as a matter of fact. I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. Great member in the chat, because it's true. I think now is like a beautiful opportunity to consider come this offseason and get an extension done for Peterson, because David's the kind of guy where there's really no reason not to want to bring him back and have him here fairly long term. Like, I think if the Mets can lock up Peterson until his mid-30s, kind of around the age that the Mets signed a Jose Quintana, for example, I would be more than happy with that. Peterson doesn't do anything that's overwhelming necessarily, but he keeps you in it every single time. And there's been no one more reliable in this rotation for the Mets since the start of June of 2024, once he returned there from that hip surgery the offseason prior, than David Peterson. He has just been tremendous in more ways than one for this Mets team. DC is a Mets town. Legit saw over 40 Mets jerseys at the Museum of National History alone. That's awesome. I mean, it's certainly a Mets town when there's nothing to root for as a Nats fan. You got to realize a lot of DC fans, I'm not saying all of them because it would be really disrespectful to my good friends out there that are that live in DC that are Nats fans, among other things. However, like anything else, when you're in the city, you're going to have people that hop on the bandwagon. So, if the Nationals were playing good baseball this year, not being a bottom feeder, I assure you that they would have had more fans in attendance. If the Nationals were competing for a playoff spot, like against the Mets in the NL East, I assure you there would have been more fans in attendance. I can also say that if the Nationals continue their winning ways more than just one season in 2019 when it came to winning a championship in recent history, they too would have more fans in attendance. So I get what you're saying 100%, but it's directly in hand because of the fact that they suck. No doubt about it. It's like anything else. Why are you going to go and rep your team constantly if they're dog you know what? Because what's going to happen, you're going to go out in public. Maybe you'll get to say, hey, yeah, let's go Nats. Let's go this. Let's go Walgreens. But you're also going to get people to be like, buddy, you know they're shit, right? Like, you know they're pond scum, right? Because that's the status of the Washington Nationals right now. And it's unfortunate for them. It's fortunate for us Mets fans, however. And speaking of the Nationals, I will say there was one pretty cool thing that I saw before the ball game started, everybody. And that was as follows. I'm going to just show you guys right here, right now, because I did think it was pretty cool. For the first time in Major League Baseball history, we had a ball game had today with not one, but two managers, both of Venezuelan descent. Congratulations not only to Carlos Mendoza, but I want to say, is his name Miguel Caro? I could be butchering on the interim manager's name there for the Nationals. I believe his last name is Caro. Don't quote me on it, though. But here they are, guys, with their pregame lineups today, representing Venezuela well. I thought that was really, really cool to see. Honestly, kind of shocked that hasn't happened in a game yet either. You know, I know that there aren't an abundance of Venezuelan managers in the game right now, but I thought that was kind of surprising when I first saw it. Miguel Caro, okay, so I was right. Cool. At the buzzer. We'll take that. We need Alvy back ASAP, Skadoodle. I agree. And the downside is that even if we do get Alvarez back, is he going to be the guy that he was? Like, I think that's something that can't be lost in the Alvarez discussion. And this is what I will say in regards to Francisco Alvarez, everybody, and then we're going to wrap it up sooner than later. I'm not going to be too long-winded with tonight's show, everybody, just because short on time with scheduling. I got to make content for Bleacher Report right after this to drop in the AM. We got to make content to get you guys set for tomorrow. We got a lot of things cooking over the coming days on the platform for you guys, so be on the lookout for it. However, including a watch party stream this Thursday with Giraffe Neck Mark on Mark's platform. If you guys do not know Giraffe Neck Mark, co-host of the Mets Stuff podcast, Mark and I and James as well, we're all really good friends, and we collab with Mets-related content all the time, especially because we both work with playback, and we haven't done a playback stream in a hot minute, guys, so be on the lookout this Thursday for that 4:05 p.m. Eastern game. I will be live in Mark Luino's playback stream that you can check out if you go to Giraffe Neck Mark's YouTube channel or his socials. He'll promote it the day of. He'll have a link that you guys can click to join, the same way that you would join my member rooms there, and playback is the same way that you would join his. We flip-flop from platforms. I've been on his, he's been on mine. We're doing it on his this week, and next time we do one, we'll probably be on mine. We haven't done one in a hot minute, though, just because my schedule has been very sporadic. The Mets have sucked so much this summer, so it has not been overly ideal to try to find games to go ahead and cover without wanting to pull your hair out every single second of the way because they just haven't played well. So again, be on the lookout. This Thursday, I will be doing a in-game watch party with my guy Giraffe Neck Mark on his platform, and then we'll be back live on this platform right after for our usual post-game coverage and series wrap-up. How many innings do you want to see from Senga to consider it a quality start? A quality start for me, for a guy like Senga, I mean, people debate between 4 and 5 innings, between 5 and 6 innings. I want to see Senga go 6 innings. I need Senga to go 6 innings at minimum tomorrow. If Senga can't even go 6 innings against the Nationals, it's going to piss me off, just because the Mets aren't going to get endless opportunities to face bottom feeder teams like the Nationals right now. You need to take advantage of it. You have to take advantage of it. If you don't take advantage of it, we're going to find ourselves in a problem, and fast, because we've already found ourselves in that problem many times before. So I'm going to go, I need Kodai Senga to give us 6 innings. That's my initial gut reaction to that, everybody. As well as what I want to relay to every single one of you was the following. I want to make sure that there aren't any numbers here that I missed, any fun stats I saw today there. We talked about Eric Chavez. We talked about Vientos. We talked about Peterson. I think I hit the nail on the head with everything there, everybody. So yeah, that's really it for me. I think the main thing I did want to lead off with as well before I get out of here is the content tomorrow that we will have dropping. Be on the lookout. We're going to have another deep dive of a prospect discussion. Brandon Sproat dominated yet again today. Yeah, that gets me excited. It gets you excited. Brandon Sproat is also completely in line to make his Mets MLB debut as soon as this weekend, should he get the call. And there is a great possibility that he does get the call. There's also a possibility that sooner than later, Jonathan gets the call as well. So we're going to talk more about both Ton and most certainly Brandon Sproat in tomorrow's content. Be on the lookout for that, as well as everything else that's happening, not only in the minor leagues for our latest farm report. We're going to emphasize a bit more on what's working right for the Mets, what's not working, maybe some people that they can consider catcher-wise for them in the interim now that they unfortunately don't have Alvarez for at least the next 10 days. Could be potentially the rest of the season, obviously, as we know. But now, as I was saying earlier, because Alvarez, even when he comes back, should he come back, we have no clue what we're getting in him. You know, it's hard to think that a guy like Alvarez is going to come in here, and this is why I meant to say earlier, this is what I kind of want to wrap up today's show with, is that Alvarez coming back from injury has really never been red hot. I mean, yeah, you could say the line drive home run that he had in his first game back against the Nationals or so, or his second game back when the Mets won like 2-0, but that's pretty much all she wrote. And that was more of just kind of, you know, hitting that well when you need to more than anything. Alvarez has not performed overly well when returning from injuries a lot of the times. And the idea of him playing through a broken thumb, basically, and needing, not a broken thumb, but like a ligament tear in that area, and needing surgery inevitably in the offseason, it's hard to believe that he won't have issues with swinging the bat, or at least showing a lack of comfortability. And that lack of comfortability in Alvarez going from playing at 100% to say, I don't know, 70%, 80%, 85%, that gap may be significant enough to suggest that the Mets are doing more harm than good to even try to keep him out there playing versus, pardon me, everybody, versus just going ahead and actually doing the surgery right away. Because the absolute shame about Alvarez's injury that I did not say earlier on the platform, but I'll say now, is that Alvarez's injury, unfortunately, I mean, it's not even long. It's like a 6 to 8 week rehab. You know, you're looking at worst 2 months that you're out after surgery, right? So if this happened earlier in the year, we wouldn't have an issue right now. But it happened at the worst time possible with only a month and a half left this season. You know, if he did the surgery now, the only way I think he could return is if he returned, the Mets were like getting all the way to the World Series. And a lot of things need to go right for that to happen. I'm not going to buy into that right here, right now. We're just going to take this game by game to keep us somewhat sane, even though I say that as someone who freaks his effing. I lose my mind how many times when the Mets are not playing good on a nightly basis. So kind of being a hypocrite with that comment, I understand. But what I also understand is that the Mets needed this victory, and they needed to finally get on a little bit of a winning streak today. So let's make it now 3. Now let's go ahead and make it 4 tomorrow. Let's go ahead and make it 5 the next day and continue on from there. That is what I got to say about that. But guys and gals, I would like to thank you all so much for liking and subscribing as you're watching live on a replay. Help us get 250 likes to all of our live viewers as well as to our replay viewers as well. That would really mean a lot. Thank you kindly for that. Am I going to the Mets in Philly? I will be going to one of the Mets games in Philly. That is 100% a fact. And funny enough, I'm glad you said that in the chat before I get out of here. A buddy of mine, really close friend of mine, who I'm actually going to go and see for just a hot second because it's his birthday today, and I want to wish him a happy birthday in person. He's a Phillies fan. He's a schmuck. No one's perfect. I live in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast. You get people that just have terrible taste in sports fandom. However, we committed a while ago that we were going to be going to that game together, so I'm going to go wish him a very happy birthday and tell him that I'm covering his ticket and our dinner for his birthday gift when we go ahead and do that in September. And yes, that will be in Philly. So I will be going to at least 2 Mets versus Phillies games over the next couple weeks. I'll be in attendance for Monday's game where we're doing a big promo with Mumu for your chance to hang out with your guy Wardy at the actual ballpark. So be on the lookout for further details soon. That'll be August 25th, next Monday. And then we have that other series, I believe it starts September 8th. If I'm not mistaken, because I was looking at them earlier, between the Mets and the Phillies and Philadelphia. I will absolutely be there for at least one of those games, if not multiple. So guys and gals, that is what I have for you all this evening. Thank you all so much again for watching. Really do appreciate it. Let me know all your further thoughts, reactions, and analysis in the comments down below. So the Mets taking game one in a huge blowout fashion against here the Washington Nationals by a whopping final score of 8-1. Thank you guys again all so much for the support. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets, baby.